Other molecules were discovered with these unique properties similar to benzene. They were all ring molecules. They all had double bonds all the way around the ring, a cyclic pi system. They all did not react by addition the way normal unsaturated molecules would, and they all had apparently an extra amount of stability. So these compounds were grouped together and they were called aromatic compounds. And these special properties, this group of special properties, with benzene as the example, but shown by all of them, was called aromaticity. Aromaticity was really not well understood because the molecules, aside from the fact that they were unusually stable and didn't react normally, they looked like every other molecule. So scientists around the turn of the 19th to the 20th century believed that it was because of this property of having alternating single and double bonds conjugated around the ring. So they theorized, or they hypothesized, that the 8-membered ring version of this, which is called cyclo-octa-tetraene, meaning ring, 8 carbons, 4 alkenes, that this would also be aromatic. However, this cyclo-octa-tetraene molecule had not ever been discovered naturally. And so organic chemists set out to synthesize it in the laboratory. This was accomplished in 1914 by a scientist named Willstatter. And of course, it's most likely the first thing that the chemists who made it did immediately after making it was they took some bromine, and they waited to see that the bromine would not react. Unfortunately for them, the bromine reacted immediately. This behaved like these double bonds were just normal double bonds. This molecule was not aromatic. At that point then, there really was no good theory to explain aromaticity until much later, when Hugel started studying pi molecular orbitals. Hugel came up with a set of rules that described what was necessary for a molecule to be aromatic. His rules said that in order to be aromatic, a molecule must have all of the following 3 properties. It must first be planar and cyclic, so it must be a flat ring. It must have a cyclic pi system, although what he found was not only pi bonds, in other words, double bonds, could contribute to the pi system, but lone pairs could act like pi electrons, and empty p orbitals could contribute an orbital even if they didn't contribute electrons. And then finally, he discovered, or he worked out, that not only did you have to have a flat ring with a cyclic pi system, but there had to be certain exact numbers of electrons in the pi system, certain numbers of pi electrons. In fact, those numbers were either 2 or 6 or 10 or 14 or 18, etc. Although we have subsequently discovered that we generally don't see aromaticity for pi systems that are larger than 22 pi electrons. But that could be because they become too flexible and they lose the ability to maintain the cyclic pi system. So this is actually a pattern of numbers, and patterns of numbers can be represented by simple formula. So this pattern, 2 or 6 or 10 or 14, is a pattern that has the formula 4 times n plus 2, where n is any integer. So for example, when n is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, then we add 2, we get the number 2. When n is 1, 4 times 1 is 4. When we add 2, we get the number 6, and so forth. So this is called a 4n plus 2 number, and in fact, this third rule is called the 4n plus 2 rule. Now, I'm going to go through at this point and show you some examples of how Huckel's rules work and how Huckel's rules will also show non-aromatic or a special type of other anti-aromatic molecule. So let's start with benzene, just to prove that Huckel's rules work for benzene, because it would be kind of lame to have rules that don't describe the canonical aromatic molecule, right? So that's shown right here. I apologize for the crowdedness. I fit in 2 examples into this space. So here's benzene. So the first thing we want to ask, is benzene a flat ring? Well, we can pretty much assume that it is, because every atom in the ring should be trigonal planar. And so when you put all these trigonal planar atoms all together, they should form a planar molecule. We're going to see some examples later. There's one specific condition that can cause cyclic pi rings to not actually be able to be planar. So we will see that. For the rest, it's a pretty safe bet to assume that if you have rings that have cyclic pi systems, they will probably also be planar. So, does this ring have a cyclic pi system? Well, yes, this is benzene, and we drew a picture of the cyclic pi system above. But basically, you need to have either a double bond, or a lone pair, or an empty p orbital, like a carbocation or a boron atom, attached to every atom of the ring. So this one has a double bond on every atom of the ring. It should have a cyclic pi system. Finally then, we want to ask, how many electrons are there in the cyclic pi system? Well, to do that, it's very, very simple rule. A double bond will contribute 2 pi electrons. A lone pair will contribute 2 pi electrons. We're going to see, however, that when an atom has more than one lone pair, only one lone pair will be allowed to contribute. And then finally, an empty p orbital will not contribute any electrons. So here we have 3 double bonds, so 2 electrons for each double bond gives us 6 electrons, and if we look, 6 is a 4n plus 2 number. So therefore, benzene meets all the criteria according to Huckel's rules for it to be an aromatic molecule. Let me show you another example of an aromatic molecule. That molecule is this. I'm sorry for all of the red stuff written all over it, but it's a 5-membered ring with 2 double bonds and then a lone pair with a negative charge on the 5th carbon that's not part of the double bond. So again, we go through Huckel's rules. Should this be a flat ring? Well, yeah, we can imagine that the trigonal planar of all of these atoms then forces these 2 bonds in order to meet up to also be in the same plane, trigonal planar. Now the cyclic pi system is a little more complicated. To explain it, I'm going to come over here. So what I have drawn is a side view of a carbon atom that has 1 lone pair, 1 hydrogen, and then 2 other bonds, side view. So these 2 would be the bonds of the ring. So that would basically be a side view of this atom. We can see that normally this lone pair would be in an sp3 hybridized orbital, which would be arranged tetrahedrally pointing outward from the ring, and it wouldn't be able to overlap with adjacent p orbitals. However, if the carbon were to change its hybridization to become sp2 hybridized, so that this hydrogen moved down into the plane and this lone pair moved from an sp3 hybridized orbital into a p orbital, So it would be a p electron cloud that had 2 electrons in it. That p orbital could then overlap with other p orbitals and create a pi bond. So as long as it's advantageous to hybridize in this way, because remember, as you push these down, you're pushing the electron pairs closer together, so you're increasing potential energy. But if you can then use this p orbital shaped electron cloud to reduce potential energy in another way, such as aromaticity, you would expect this overall process to be favored. In that case, then, we could form a cyclic pi system that would look like this: a double bond, and then the lone pair in a p orbital. So we'll say, yeah, we can make a cyclic pi system. Finally, then, let's count electrons. So we should get 2 electrons for each pi bond, plus the lone pair itself is 2 electrons. So that is 2 plus 2 for the pi bonds, plus 2 for the lone pair, total of 6. That's a 4n plus 2 number. This molecule should be aromatic.